Hey, what's going on, guys? Pixel Gadget here. I'm a game designer, and welcome to Game Designer Plays World at War Zombies Verrückt Part 2 for Verrückt. I keep saying Verrückt. Verrückt. Okay, I thought I was just going to move on from Verrückt and just go to Shinonuma right away. However, I was like, something's missing. I'm missing something. So I was like, I'll take another look at the map before we move on. And oh boy, was that the right decision, because I discovered a number of amazing details about this map that probably none of you are aware of. I was not aware of the entire time I've been playing. I just love this menu of like selecting the zombies maps. It gives a little description, a little picture, love it. So I actually exit out and load into the game over and over again because I want to load in on the other side.
No power.
And I notice in this starting room you can see the flashing lights in the power room like very easily. But I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit here as I go. It took me like 5 tries. I think I got it this time. I go and check to see if the power room is visible from the starting room, and it's actually not. You actually cannot see the white flashing lights from this room. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity. I'm like, when I made this recording, my first instinct was like, okay, maybe I'll talk about like starting room design, how like the starting room in a Nazi Zombies map sets the tone for the experience. Also, this room is clearly better for solo play because you get Juggernaut. I get Juggernaut, I think, on round 3 or 4 because I'm just going crazy. Like, I got this map locked down. This starting room is really well designed because it's got the horror elements with the electroshock torture chair, the blood. I wanted to mention pacing and contrast, how both starting rooms have a horror scene with, like, blood stuff. And then the next room is pretty plain. And then the next room has more environmental detail. And then on both sides, since it's kind of symmetrical, you get to the dramatic power room, which is the ultimate goal. I also wanted to talk about goals, like player goals. In Zombies, it's really interesting. This is where they start implementing long-term goals, like the power switch. Everyone knows about the power switch. But here we take it to another level, where your short-term goals are survive the wave, kill the zombies, get points, unlock the next door, get the next gun. But you have the player now has a long-term goal that's been implied or signified by the character saying, hey, we need to get the power on. There's writing on the wall saying, hey, you need to get the power. And every time you come across one of the traps or the perks, the character will say, gotta be a power switch somewhere. So there's lots of signifiers. In this room, you can see the contrast, where in the starting room, it's kind of small. There's not a lot of open area. And then in this next area, first of all, it's a long hallway. It's not like a square room. So that's a contrast difference, a pacing difference. And then also it's like the ceiling is open and blown open, letting in that nice, rich yellow light from the outside. Okay, I wanted to mention this. So, I'm going to turn up the audio. I guess I'm not going to. But I discover something about Call of Duty World at War that I never noticed ever. And I think it's in the base game, but I just have never noticed it in my life. When you walk up to certain objects in the game, it plays a sound effect. I had no idea. I first noticed it the first time. So, let's not talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Moving on. Okay? We're not talking about it. I'm not mad. The game locked on to the other zombie with the melee. I'm not upset about it. I'm not salty at all. I'm completely zen right now. We're moving on. Okay. But I'm glad I died there, because then I noticed this. I was like, I walked up to that filing cabinet, I heard something. I was like, what was that? Yeah, that's right, bro. And then I'm like, well, what about other things? Oh my god, the bookshelf too. And then I'm like, what about these cabinet things? Oh my god, there's a sound effect. That is so subtle. That is so subtle. That is audio design at its absolute peak, because I never noticed it my entire time playing this game for literally a decade. Never noticed this tiny sound effect that plays when you walk up to certain game objects in the scene. Insane! There's another sound effect that plays when you walk up to chain link fences. That's really notable. On the other side of the map, there's like this huge chain link thing around the stairwell. Absolutely insane audio design. Like, what? That's crazy. I never noticed it. Never noticed it in my entire life. So cool. So freaking cool. Why is that awesome? I think my last analysis was really good, but I am kind of taking for granted that this might be your first time watching my channel, so you may not be familiar, because I'll like say, oh, the game is doing this thing, and then I don't explain why it's good design, because I'm just assuming you know the principles. But if you're new to the channel, then you won't know. Okay, the reason why it playing an audio sound effect when I move into a certain object is, first of all, it is called feedback. Feedback is the king of game design, because it's giving the player information about what they are doing. Feedback is whenever a player presses a button, we want to give them information, either audio, visual, or whatever, could be just text on the screen, that tells them what they have done is working, that the controls are working, and that the environment is responding to them. That's like a big part of feedback, environmental feedback, where the environment responds to player actions. So a lot of these things you know and love. I mean, when you shoot a wall in this game, there's a little decal that shows. That's feedback. When you shoot a gun, there's sound effect, there's screen shake. I thought this was hilarious. The perk posters are really funny. Apparently that guy was a guy on the team that made this game, but when they made the remakes, they took his face off because I guess he doesn't work there anymore. I don't know. Okay. I also noticed the sound effects of the power room for the first time. I didn't even think about it. I'm glad I revisited this map. Okay, well, listen. There. That kind of clanking, chain link clanking sound effect. Very good. So, I'm so glad I returned to the map, because there's actually so much more to talk about. It's crazy. I missed some things in the lighting. It's going to come up later. I guess I'll just follow along with the gameplay. I may skip ahead a bit here. Let's see. I just want to skip ahead. I'm just goated. I'm headshotting all the zombies. I get super far here in this gameplay, which I am very proud of. And then I activate the toilet. So in order to get the secret song, you have to flush this toilet 3 times. That's more environmental feedback. When I press F on this toilet, it plays a flushing sound effect. I love that. And then, yeah, after the 3rd flush, it starts the song, and it plays the cha-ching sound effect from the doors, from the windows, and then it plays the song. I don't know if the song's copyrighted, so I don't know. I noticed this sound effect when I'm standing underwater. The sound of like almost raindrops or water on clothing. Very cool. Never noticed that. There's also obviously that water effect that goes over the player's screen. Very good. You know, just all these subtle details making me very happy. Listen to this sound effect. Okay, we have like multiple layers of audio. So we got the siren playing, we got the whirring of like electronic stuff, and then the famous zombies laugh plays, and then some kind of twinkling like the mystery box plays. So very cool. A lot of sound. I'd never noticed those sound effects, but yeah, there's a lot. That's feedback for when you activate the power, which makes total sense that they would have this almost crescendo of sound effects, because it's like, oh my god, you did it. You accomplished your long-term goal. And now your mission is just survive. So it's kind of like long-term goal is completed, back to just short-term goals. And this is probably why Zombies developed the way it did, because getting the power only took me about 15 minutes. So now there's, in modern zombies maps, there's these elaborate Easter eggs and all. I can't wait to start playing more modern zombie maps as this series continues. That's basically the plan for the series, is just we're going to keep playing for as long as it takes to get through basically every zombies map ever and just talk about everything they're doing that's really cool. At this point, I get Jug on round 4. Pretty goated. You can't deny it. I'm pretty good at this game. You know, points maxing. That's my favorite thing about zombies, is it allows you to min-max how many points you're getting. I also noticed a weird thing. When I get insta-kill, and this might be just a Call of Duty World at War thing, no matter... So as you know, the way you kill zombies usually determines how many points you get. So a body shot is 70 points, a headshot's 100 points, and a headshot... Wait. A body shot's 70 points, headshot's 100 points, a melee kill is 130 points. However, I noticed when insta-kill is active, it's always 50 points for the kill, no matter how you kill them. I never noticed that. I'm so glad I revisited the map to do really dig deep on all the elements here. I like the use of space in this particular room, with the floor being kind of damaged, so you can see down there. That really opens up the space in a way that doesn't actually change the gameplay at all. These are the things. It's like the actual map layout is extremely simple, yet because of the way they've implemented... All right, look at the points. So it's double points is active. I get 100 points and 20 points for the hit. So without double points, it would be 50 points, but I clearly headshotted him. And I clearly knifed the other guy. See, I clearly headshot him. So that's just interesting, balancing stuff, and I don't think that's in Black Ops Zombies. But I will be sure to pay attention to the points as we continue analyzing the game. I decide not to open that door because I'm like, okay, my pro strat is going to be actually hiding in this area and just shooting the zombies as they come at me, because I realize that if I don't open this door, you'll see my strat. My mission for this playthrough was to get higher than round 10 and to get the ray gun. And I'm not going to spoil it if I accomplish that goal or not. We'll let the gameplay decide. That running zombie starts showing up on round 6. That's the first time we've seen him. So round 6 is kind of when the difficulty spikes, because obviously there's no gradient for how the zombies, their movement speed. They're fixed animations. So there's going to be a round when the sprinting zombie first shows up. And I think it's round 6, which seems reasonable. I have not done any analysis on counting the, amount of zombies that spawn per round. I haven't really done any of that kind of analysis. Yeah, I'm not picking that up. That gun sucks. Or that rocket launcher is not what we're looking for right now. And then I think at this point, yeah. All right, I'm just going to skip ahead a bit because I don't discover anything new for a little while. Okay. So I'm back to the starting room. I noticed something very cool. Do you see this? I didn't notice this. So this room, I love this room because it's contrasting between the starting room. It's more like a long hallway, more sight lines, but I noticed more movement in the scene. So there's the dripping water, there's the kind of mist, and then the classic sparking electronics or light bulbs. This is like classic zombies / horror / video game trope. Just adding movement to the scene to make it feel alive, right? And it's not for all the lights. I also notice here that the perk machine flickers to get the player's attention. That's really cool. I love the sound effect for when you open doors. I didn't mention it, but it's got this beautiful... Let's listen to that one more time at full volume. While I'm in this room, we get some of the horror audio elements, so I start hearing screaming and banging. So there's screaming coming from that door back there, very spooky. Also, for the doors, when you open them, there's that kind of siren play, like almost like a prison door, electronic door. So there's contrast there where it's like when you clear the furniture, it's just the thunder sound effect and the lightning particle effect. Very good feedback, by the way. That's like, it's become classic Zombies feedback where it's like the lightning strike brings clears the way. But opening doors, which is new to Zombies for this map, Nocturne and Totem did not have sliding doors that just open. I'm going to translate to what that means and put it on the screen for you guys. I want to know what that sign says. I'm just kind of exploring the map. More screaming. Very cool. We're just getting... Yeah, more screaming. Very scary. But like I was saying previously, the horror elements are paced. So there's pacing. And since you can't really control how the player... Well, actually, you can control how the player moves through the map extremely well. Like, you know exactly which rooms they're going to go from one to the other. And it seems they've got the pacing going where starting room, horror elements, then this hallway area, no horror elements, just dilapidated, just movement, atmospheric, right? Slowing down the kind of emotional pacing. And then that room up there, you've got the screaming and then the schizophrenic ramblings and all that good stuff. So there is pacing, and I think that's the coolest thing. I try to survive in this room, like doing some training just to test it out. And let's just say it almost ends in complete disaster. I can't wait for you to see this. It's like... World at War Zombies does not behave in the way Black Ops Zombies behaves. Let's just say things are a little different. You're about to see exactly what happens. So I'm like, oh, I'll just shoot them. Okay. No problem. And then I'm thinking, oh, I know a great idea. I'll throw the Molotov cocktail at them. And that'll be great, right? Yeah, I'm not too close. Oh my god. Instantly red screen. Amazed I did not die there. Amazed. This was the worst thing I could have done. I almost died there. It makes crawlers. Like, Molotovs make crawlers. That makes no sense. I do not know how I survived there. That was insane. The Molotovs are so unpredictable. I do not like them at all. Because they're, like, acting like explosive weapons, which makes no sense to me. Because video games have taught me that they're supposed to, like, stay on the ground and burn the enemies as they walk over. That did not happen. So the Molotov is not my favorite thing in this game right now. We just chalk that up to World at War jank. More of the posters, the cartoony posters. I'll say it again. I love the contrast between these kind of cartoony posters, the cartoony vending machines, and then this absolutely terrifying, fairly realistic, gritty environment. Great contrast. Definitely gets the player's attention. Definitely engages the player. I wanted to explain. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, the reason why I talk about contrast so much and just point it out, the reason why I point it out is it fundamentally engages the player's mind. It engages their attention. We as humans love to look for patterns. We love to look for contrast and differences between things and compare and contrast. That is the key to level design, narrative design, the pacing of a level. A Zombies map specifically needs to have that, where from one room to the next, there's a contrast in, and I have made videos talking about this, but generally we look for things like contrast of space, contrast of lighting. You can see it very clearly here. This room is way brighter than any other room in the entire game, the entire map. Beautiful. Contrast of tone. So I've mentioned that some of the rooms have the horror elements, torture scenes, blood, guts, and some of them have less of those elements and more just kind of atmospheric movement of like fire flickering, water, sparks from broken light bulbs, things like that. Atmospheric audio, as we've covered, but it seems to be mostly feedback audio. The horror element audio is not, it is technically atmospheric, but I would say it's like emotionally more intense. When I say atmospheric, I'm talking, It's mainly referring to audio that is not that emotionally intense and just kind of setting a baseline vibe of the space. So it helps the player read the space. Is this a dangerous place? Is it a safe place? Did something bad happen here? That's more narrative. This is why I mentioned those things. I've made these videos so many times, I sometimes forget to just talk about the basics of why I even mention these things, like why these principles matter, or why the things I mention matter, because they align with these kind of general game design principles that make games or levels more engaging to play through and move through. I think we're getting close to the end of the video here. Oh, a quick thing I wanted to mention just about zombies mechanics in general. I love the drop system. So this zombie, one of these zombies drops a insta-kill, right? Okay, I want that. It's round 9. Things are getting hard. However, I am camping. In order to get that thing, I have to move into a possibly dangerous situation. So Call of Duty Zombies changes the formula of shooters because you can't really control where the player's going to be at any given moment. They have free reign of the whole map by round 9 or 10, okay? However, these power-up drops generally force the player to move out of their camping spot or comfort zone. And that is extremely powerful because it creates a meaningful decision. I've been talking about this so much. But Zombies is all about giving the player meaningful decisions to make. And risk and reward is the biggest component or variable in meaningful decisions. Do I go for it and risk getting trapped or getting in a bad situation? Or do I just let it go? There's also a time limit. The drop starts flickering. It only lasts about, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, give or take. So that gives pressure to the player. Hey, this is a limited time thing. You either go for it now or it's gone forever. And with zombies running at you and stuff, it's very intense. I love that design element, and I'm not sure if another game has done it before this game, especially when it comes to like wave survival specifically. Shooters, boomer shooters like Doom have been doing this for a long time, where it's like there's pickups over here in this dangerous part of the map. It's called encounter design in more linear shooters, where there's this big power-up in the middle of the map, but there's all these enemies around it. Do you go for the power-up, or do you, it gives the player a meaningful decision? This system takes that original concept that the Doom games and Quake originated. I tried to make crawlers here, and I just couldn't do it. And it takes it, and it adapts that same philosophy of giving the player a meaningful choice to make in the heat of fighting, but in a more non-linear wave survival shooter. And I think that is so elegant and brilliant. I love Zombies for these kinds of meaningful choices. And the average player is not really noticing these things consciously. Okay, I got past round 10, mission 1 accomplished, and mission 2, boom! Get the ray gun, bada bing, bada boom. We have accomplished all our goals for Verrückt. I am so happy that I've revisited the map. I actually don't get much farther than this, and you're going to see why in a second, because let's just say the ray gun is a little different in World at War than it is in Black Ops. Black Ops Zombies is like my basis for how I think Zombies is supposed to work, and let's just say something does not go according to plan. I'm just going to skip ahead here. I try to make a crawler, and I die instantly, bro. I had Jug. I thought I would survive at least one ray gun shot to the ground. Nope. It kills you instantly if you shoot at your feet. I had no idea. So there's that. And yeah, anyways, I wanted to thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps the channel grow. If you also like this kind of game, you should check out my game on Steam. I'm actually a game developer, and I'm making a Call of Duty Zombies clone right now called Doomsday Sector on Steam now. Go check it out. It's going to come out in about a year, so I'm trying to kind of rack up wish lists while I have the chance to. And so, yeah, please check it out. It would really help me. It would really help the channel. But yeah, I hope you learned something new about FPS design, Call of Duty Zombies design. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.